Hi guys, welcome back. If you're looking for your next favorite read, you're in the right place. Don't forget to hit subscribe and let's jump in.
The sound of heavy bells echoes through the streets of medieval Paris. A figure falls from the towering heights of Notre-Dame, and in that moment, centuries of love, pain, and redemption come crashing down. Hello, beautiful friends. I'm Lily from Books4Soul, and today I want to take you on a journey through one of literature's most powerful and haunting tales, Victor Hugo's The Hunchback of Notre-Dame. This is not just a story about a cathedral or a deformed bell ringer. It's a timeless exploration of love, judgment, and the human spirit. So, let's step into 1482 Paris and uncover the eternal truths hidden within its shadows. Notre-Dame Cathedral, rising majestically above the Seine River, stands as more than stone and mortar. It embodies medieval Paris's beating heart. Its towering spires reach heavenward like prayers made permanent, while its intricate Gothic architecture tells stories in every arch and gargoyle. The cathedral serves as both witness and symbol. Its heights represent humanity's divine aspirations, its shadows conceal our earthly struggles, and its sanctuary offers both redemption and judgment, much like social media platforms today that can either elevate or destroy. You know, sometimes life feels like a bitter lemon. Sharp and hard to swallow. But Hugo shows us how, from that very bitterness, we can create something profound. I remember when I first read this book, I couldn't tear myself away from its pages, completely drawn into this tale of love, pain, and redemption. This novel isn't your typical Beauty and the Beast romance. Instead, it's a vivid portrayal of life's contrasts, morality and desire, the grotesque and the sublime, struggle and helplessness. Through the intertwined relationships of Esmeralda, a free-spirited Romany dancer, Hugo paints a picture of human nature that's both beautiful and unsettling. Have you ever wondered why love, which should be pure, can sometimes feel so complicated? Because Hugo dares to show us our own reflection, the shadows we try to hide and the light we often overlook. Through Esmeralda's journey in the bustling streets of medieval Paris, we confront humanity's capacity for cruelty and our tendency to wound in love's name. Yet amidst the darkness, Hugo reveals glimmers of hope, the resilience that lifts us, the compassion that redeems us, and the spirit that endures. Isn't it remarkable how a story from 15th century Paris still speaks to our modern souls? Reading The Hunchback of Notre-Dame isn't just about enjoying a classic tale, it's about understanding life and love on a deeper level. It's about seeing the world through different perspectives and learning how to navigate the complexities of relationships. As the psychologist Adler once said, growing up isn't about understanding everything. It's about seeing through the essence of human nature. And that's exactly what this book offers, a chance to see the raw, unfiltered truths of life and love. Imagine this. In the bustling square before Notre-Dame Cathedral, under the glow of flickering torches and the rhythm of lively drums, a young woman dances with fiery passion. Her name is Esmeralda, a free-spirited street performer whose zest for life is as captivating as her emerald eyes and raven hair. But beyond her beauty lies a heart so pure it becomes both her greatest strength and her tragic vulnerability. Her dance is not just a performance, it's an expression of life itself, drawing people from all walks of life to witness her grace and vitality. Yet, in a world ruled by prejudice and power, even the brightest light can cast the darkest shadow. The cathedral itself plays more than just a backdrop. Its bells mark the rhythm of Parisian life. Its gargoyles watch over the city's souls, and its sanctuary offers both salvation and damnation. Within its stone walls, our story's characters will face their destinies, their choices echoing through the centuries to teach us about the nature of true beauty, the power of prejudice, and the transformative force of love. Let's dive deeper into this timeless tale together, where every character, from the beautiful dancer to the tortured priest, from the deformed bell ringer to the handsome soldier, carries a piece of the eternal truth about human nature. Their stories, woven into the tapestry of medieval Paris, will show us that the greatest battles are not fought in the streets, but in the chambers of the human heart. As our story unfolds in the shadows of Notre Dame, let me tell you about Esmeralda, whose fate became intertwined with the very soul of Paris. Born to a Romany family, she was separated from her mother at a tender age due to circumstances beyond her control. Yet, despite her harsh beginnings, Esmeralda blossomed into a woman of extraordinary character, kind-hearted, spirited, and possessing a beauty that went far beyond her striking appearance. Her dancing in the square wasn't merely a performance. It was an expression of life itself, drawing people from all walks of life to witness her grace and vitality. Among those captivated by her dance was Captain Phoebus de Châteaupers, a dashing soldier of the king's archers. With his golden armor gleaming in the sunlight and his confident bearing, he seemed to embody everything a young woman might dream of in a hero. To Esmeralda's innocent eyes, Phoebus appeared as her knight in shining armor, a gallant protector who would sweep her off her feet. Her heart, pure and untainted by the world's cynicism, fell deeply in love with this image of perfection she had created. Like a scene from a fairy tale, Phoebus would appear at crucial moments, his golden armor gleaming as he offered protection with practiced charm. Esmeralda's devotion grew dangerously intense. She would follow him anywhere, even to Paris's shadowy outskirts where no respectable woman ventured. Her absolute trust and blind love revealed her innocence, making her vulnerable to manipulation. During one particularly enchanted evening, at a small inn outside the city, where the atmosphere was thick with romance and possibility, Esmeralda's heart overflowed with emotion. "Being your wife would be my greatest pride," she confessed, her voice trembling with sincerity. But Phoebus's response shattered her dreams. "We're fine as we are. Why get married?" His cold words revealed the truth she had been blind to. Phoebus was captivated only by her beauty, seeing her as nothing more than a temporary amusement. The truth was far from her romantic fantasies. He was already engaged to a noble lady, using Esmeralda's affection for his entertainment. That fateful night took an even darker turn when a mysterious figure emerged from the shadows and attacked Phoebus, leaving him wounded. In the chaos that followed, Esmeralda fainted, only to wake up accused of the attempted murder of her beloved. The trial that followed exposed the cruel prejudices of medieval Paris. A Romany dancer stood little chance against the machinery of justice, especially when those who could speak for her chose silence. Even as she faced death, Esmeralda's thoughts were not of her own fate, but of Phoebus's well-being. Yet he, having recovered from his wounds, simply left for a vacation with other women, never sparing a thought for the innocent soul who loved him so purely. Until her final moment, Esmeralda never realized that her perfect knight was nothing but a coward, wearing golden armor. This tragic turn of events caught the attention of Claude Frollo, the Archdeacon of Notre Dame. What would you do if duty and desire tore your soul apart? For Frollo, known throughout Paris for his wisdom and piety, this internal battle would lead to his undoing. His reputation for helping the poor and his dedication to scholarly pursuits made him a respected figure in the community. So disciplined was he that even the rustle of a woman's skirt would cause him to pull his hood over his eyes in modesty. When a princess of the royal court requested his presence, he declined, maintaining his image of perfect devotion to God. But Frollo harbored secrets beneath his pious exterior. Having taken in and raised the deformed child Quasimodo, he appeared to many as the embodiment of Christian charity. He educated the poor, tended to the sick, and seemed to live a life of perfect virtue. Yet when his eyes fell upon Esmeralda dancing in the square, something awakened within him that would transform his carefully constructed world. At 35 years old, this respected priest found himself consumed by desires he had long suppressed. Esmeralda's every movement, her dark eyes, her graceful form, all became an obsession that threatened to destroy everything he had built. His carefully maintained facade of spiritual purity began to crack, revealing the tumultuous passions beneath. When Esmeralda rejected his advances, Frollo's love twisted into something dark and possessive. From the heights of Notre Dame's towers he would watch her, his heart torn between desire and duty, between earthly passion and heavenly devotion. The man who had once been a beacon of virtue now found himself plotting in darkness, his love transforming into a destructive force that would eventually consume them all. This complex web of emotions, Esmeralda's pure but misplaced love, Phoebus's shallow desires, and Frollo's destructive passion, shows us how love, in its various forms, can either elevate us to the heights of nobility or drag us into the depths of despair. The streets of medieval Paris become a stage where these human dramas play out, each character trapped in their own version of love's illusion. Within the bell towers of Notre Dame dwells perhaps the most misunderstood soul of our tale, Quasimodo. Born with a hunched back, a massive wart covering one eye, and legs twisted like gnarled tree roots, he was abandoned as an infant on the cathedral's steps. It was Claude Frollo who, in an act of mercy that would shape both their destinies, took in this deformed child and gave him sanctuary within Notre Dame's walls. Growing up in the cathedral's shadow, Quasimodo became as much a part of Notre Dame as its ancient stones. The bells became his closest companions. He named each one, knew their voices, and rang them with such skill that their music touched even the hardest hearts in Paris. Yet, the same city that was moved by his bells showed him nothing but cruelty. Children fled at his approach, adults crossed themselves when they saw him, and cruel voices called him monster and demon. The isolation and scorn transformed Quasimodo into someone harsh and withdrawn. He trusted no one except his adoptive father, Frollo, serving him with unwavering loyalty. That is, until fate brought Esmeralda into his world. Under Frollo's orders, Quasimodo attempted to kidnap her one night, a decision that would change everything. The plan failed, and Quasimodo was captured and sentenced to public punishment in the Place de Grève. In one of the novel's most powerful scenes, Quasimodo stands bound to the pillory under a scorching sun, his body brutalized by public flogging. While he pleads for water, the crowd responds with mockery and violence. Even Frollo, his adoptive father, abandons him. Then Esmeralda, the very woman he had attempted to kidnap, emerges from the hostile crowd, offering water and compassion where others showed only cruelty. This simple act of kindness, the first he had ever known from anyone besides Frollo, pierced through years of bitterness. For the first time in his life, Quasimodo wept not from pain, but from being touched by compassion. From that moment, Quasimodo's heart belonged to Esmeralda. He became her silent guardian, watching over her from the cathedral heights with a devotion as steady as the stars. When she sought sanctuary in Notre-Dame to escape false accusations, he protected her fiercely. He brought her food, made her a bed in the bell tower, and showed her the magnificent view of Paris that had been his sole comfort for so many years. Yet tragedy lay ahead. When Frollo's obsession with Esmeralda turned murderous, Quasimodo found himself torn between his loyalty to his adoptive father and his love for the dancer who had shown him kindness. The choice he made would lead to one of literature's most heart-wrenching conclusions. After Esmeralda's execution, Quasimodo's grief turned to rage. He pushed Frollo from the cathedral towers, choosing love over the man who had raised him. But the story doesn't end there. Unable to live in a world without Esmeralda, Quasimodo disappeared from Notre-Dame. Months later, when workers entered the mass graves at Montfaucon, they found two skeletons, one of a young woman who had been hanged, the other of a hunched figure who had crawled there to die embracing her. When they tried to separate the bodies, they crumbled to dust, united, even in death. This haunting finale reveals love's paradoxical nature, its power to both destroy and transcend. In life, society's prejudices created an insurmountable barrier between them. Though Esmeralda's kindness penetrated Quasimodo's isolation, she could never fully overcome her instinctive reaction to his appearance. Yet in death, they achieved a profound unity that transcended physical form, highlighting Hugo's message about the eternal nature of true love. Their story mirrors countless modern tales where genuine connections are thwarted by superficial judgments, reminding us that true love sees with the heart rather than the eyes. Their story reminds us that true beauty and love exist beyond physical appearance, beyond social standing, beyond life itself. The tragedy of Quasimodo and Esmeralda illustrates how earthly prejudices and heavenly love collide in the human heart. While the world saw a monster and a witch, they were in truth two pure souls caught in the cruel machinery of human judgment. Their story transcends the physical realm, becoming a testament to love's ability to find beauty in the most unexpected places. As we reflect on this timeless tale, we discover that Hugo created not just one world, but two distinct realms within his narrative. The first is the earthly realm of medieval Paris, a world governed by power, hierarchy, and prejudice. This is where we see characters like Frollo and Phoebus operating within society's rigid structures. Frollo, despite his position as archdeacon, becomes enslaved by his own desires. Phoebus, the captain of the king's guard, embodies the shallow values of his class, ultimately choosing a loveless marriage of convenience over true feeling. But there exists a second realm, one that transcends the physical world. This is the spiritual realm where pure souls like Quasimodo and Esmeralda truly belong. Their love story, though tragic in the earthly sense, achieves something eternal. When their remains are discovered together in the charnel house, their transformation into dust symbolizes the dissolution of physical boundaries that separated them in life. The bells of Notre-Dame, which Quasimodo once rang with such devotion, continue to sing their story across the centuries. This duality reminds me of what a great Zen master once taught about the 3 stages of understanding that we all must pass through. In the first stage, we see things simply as they appear. A mountain is just a mountain. Water is just water. This is like our initial encounter with the world, where we accept things at face value. We might see Quasimodo as merely deformed, Esmeralda as just a beautiful dancer, Frollo as simply a priest. But then we enter the second stage where nothing is as it seems. The mountain is no longer just a mountain. Water is no longer just water. This is where we begin to question our assumptions and see the complexity beneath the surface. We recognize how Quasimodo's grotesque exterior masks a beautiful soul, how Frollo's pious facade conceals dark desires, how Esmeralda's physical beauty brings both adoration and destruction. Finally, we reach the third stage, where we return to seeing the mountain as a mountain and water as water, but with profound understanding. This is where true wisdom lies. We see things as they are, but with deeper comprehension. We understand that beauty and ugliness, love and hatred, sacred and profane, all these apparent opposites are interconnected aspects of human nature. Hugo's masterpiece teaches us that the human heart is capable of both transcendent love and devastating darkness. Consider how many of us today still wear masks, pretending nobility while hiding our flaws. How many judge others by their appearance, missing the beauty within? The era Hugo describes may be centuries past, but human nature remains unchanged. To truly love is to return to that pure starting point, to see beyond society's prejudices and our own preconceptions. It's about recognizing that within each of us exists the capacity for both light and shadow. As Hugo writes, of all God's creations, the human heart emits the brightest light, yet it also casts the darkest shadow. The challenge is not to eliminate our shadows, but to acknowledge them while striving toward the light. The bells of Notre Dame still ring today, echoing across Paris just as they did in Hugo's time. Their song reminds us of Quasimodo's pure love, Esmeralda's compassion, and even Frollo's tragic fall. It calls us to look beyond appearances, beyond prejudice, and into the depths of the human heart. Victor Hugo's masterpiece is not just a story of medieval Paris or a deformed bell ringer. It is a mirror reflecting our own capacity for love, cruelty, redemption, and transformation. It reminds us that true beauty lies not in what we see, but in how we choose to see. At Books4Soul, we believe in the power of stories to touch hearts and transform lives. This tale, like so many others, reminds us that literature is more than words on a page. It's a guide to understanding ourselves and the world around us. So, as you go about your life, I hope you'll carry these lessons with you. When you hear the sound of bells, remember the resilience of the human spirit, the power of compassion, and the eternal truth that love, in all its forms, is what makes us human. Thank you for joining me on this journey through the Hunchback of Notre-Dame. If this story has touched your heart, share it with someone who might need its message. And until next time, keep your heart open to love. And remember, true beauty always lies within. This is Lily, and you've been watching Books4Soul.